And for everyone on here, I am going to be talking about some of the 7 fundamental skills to building your business. And I'm actually going to share my screen here really quickly so that you guys can see this. And can you see that okay, Daniel? Perfect. Okay, excellent. So before I jump into this, though, I want to address something that is critical to your success, especially today while you're taking notes, especially today while you're tuning in on this training, because I have to tell you, I'm going to be the least powerful of all the trainers today. I've seen the lineup, and it is going to be absolutely incredible. But if you don't take this one thing to heart, it will all be for naught, okay? This is critical. You are the X factor in your business. I like to start all of my trainings with this. I think it's probably the most important concept, not in Legal Shield, but in life, that you recognize that 100% personal responsibility and accountability for your life is the only way to guarantee that you get what you want. The only way to guarantee you get what you want in life is to take complete 100% responsibility for where you are. Now, sometimes things happen out of our control in life. And when those things happen, it's easy to point at those things and blame them for your circumstances. But for everything that happens to you, there was an opportunity to prepare. For every circumstance that approaches you, there's an opportunity for you to grow and overcome it. For every obstacle you face, there is a solution that you can find if you're willing to look for it. But as soon as you point blame outward, you will never, ever have the power to change it yourself. In other words, if you blame the weather, if you say, oh, I couldn't make it to the event because it was raining, then that means that the randomness of the rain determines your success. It's like rolling the dice every day. But if you decide to take 100% responsibility, you can have or do anything you want in life. You can accomplish anything you set your mind to. But if without that, you won't make it. Okay, so I want you to set that in your mind right now. The second thing is, as I'm going through these skills, you have to recognize it's not enough to have the notes down on paper. When we talk about fundamental skills and developing yourself, in fact, let me share a couple philosophies. You guys have heard these. Success isn't something you go get. It's something that you attract by the person you become, right? It's Jim Rohn. I want you to think about what that means, right? That means that personal development is the key to your success. But I see a lot of people on a regular basis get on these trainings, whether it be virtual or in person. They read the books, they listen to the audios, they show up, and they take the notes, but they don't actually go and change anything about themselves. You see, personal development doesn't mean personal learning. If that was the case, then we would say that. Development, think about development in the real world, like construction, right? And if you guys wouldn't mind, please keep your mics muted. I will probably mute you faster than you can mute yourself back, actually, because I'm quick on my fingers here, but please keep your mics muted while we're going through this. But you understand that if you don't apply something you learn, then you haven't changed anything. Bob Proctor famously says, to know and not to do is not to know. To know and not to do is not to know. Now, that's really critical for these particular events because I have traveled the country and done these in person. And there have been times where I've run into the same associates in multiple different marketplaces. Like they were like following me on my tour right around, and they saw my trainings again and again and again. And not just mine, they've seen Darnell Self, they've seen Brian Carruthers, they've seen Kim Amelia, they've seen Elizabeth Gardner, right? They've seen all of these impressive trainers over and over and over again, and yet they show up at each event in the same place. And you know what that tells me? It means that they may have learned something, but they didn't apply it. So to develop yourself, right? Think about developing. I was getting onto this just a second ago. Developing in the real world is building, right? Paving roads, right? Putting up buildings, right? That means you're constructing something, you're growing something, you're changing something, you're improving something about yourself. It's not enough to know it, you have to apply it, okay? And then here's the last philosophy before I jump into these skills that is gonna tie it all together. If you keep doing what you've always done, you're gonna keep getting what you've always got. Now, that's a reason why a lot of people get started in network marketing, because what they've always done is go to a job every single day, right? Wake up, right? Commute to work, hate their job, drive home, eat dinner, watch Netflix, go to sleep, wake up, repeat, and they do that for years and years and years, and they're miserable. And one day they go to an event and they see this. They see Legal Shield and they go, oh my God, there is another way, right? And they go, okay, if I keep doing what I've been doing, I'm gonna keep getting what I've got. But if you keep coming to these events, if you keep coming to these trainings, if you keep listening to all these incredible people who've made so much money and impacted so many people, and you don't do something different this time than you did last time, what do you think is going to happen inside of your Legal Shield business? The exact same thing. Okay, so I really want you to start off this training with the mindset of, what can I find in this training? And maybe it's only one or two things that I can actively change about what I'm doing, right? What can I find in this training that I can actively improve about what I'm doing? What can I see in this training that I am definitely doing wrong that I can stop doing? And in your notes, I want you to make a mark of that. I want you to highlight it, underline it, star it, whatever it takes, so that you actually go and change something when we're done. And then last thing, if you guys have questions as I'm going, throw them in the chat. I am pretty good at Zoom, so I will do my best to answer those as we go and still stay in the time. If it's a question I can't address in the time limit, then I'm going to skip by it. But if you have questions as we go, definitely throw them in the chat. So today I'm going to be talking about 3 of the 7 fundamental skills, okay? Finding prospects, inviting, and following up. Now, in my opinion, these 3 are some of the most critical, because if you can't get these down, there's no point in you ever becoming a presenter if you can't find prospects to present to, right? There's no point in you ever becoming a presenter if you can't find prospects to present to. There's no point in getting good at closing if you never invite someone to watch in the first place, right? And you're never going to be able to test out your skills at getting a new associate started right if you're not recruiting, right? And these are the skills to recruit. So those are the ones I'm going to address today. And by the way, Mr. Thompson just mentioned in the previous training, there are trainings on every single one of these skills by the top platinum executives, MVPs, ring earners from around the company available in LS Engage that you can go watch anytime you want. So if you need to get more of this, go and find those and study them. But all right, let's start with finding prospects. And this is one that I've always struggled with because I was an introvert. In fact, you're seeing me right now in my safe place, right? In the place where I have lived most of my life, right? I'm a gamer. You can see my gaming PC right here. I got the lights inside. I got the headphones. I got the mic set up, right? I mean, this is where I spent the majority of my time growing up. And so whenever they told me, you have to go out and meet new people, that terrified me, okay? I was scared to death to do that. But I'm going to help you guys to really grow a massive, massive list with 5 steps to unlimited prospects, okay? Unlimited prospects. Now, the first thing that I have always told, now I've been doing network marketing for 7 years, going on 8 years, 3 years with another company, now 4.5 with Legal Shield. This will be my last network marketing company. I'm so blessed to have found it. It's definitely the best in the industry for many, many reasons, right? But when I first got started, this was one of the first lessons I learned, even with my first company. You have to build a list of every single person you've ever met, okay? You have to build a list of every single person you've ever met. And down here it says, act as if every name is worth $1,000 each, okay? Now, I run into this all the time, and if you're taking notes, write down big list, big business, okay? Big list, big business, small list, small business. Pretty self-explanatory, right? But I run into this all the time. People tell me, oh, well, I only know 20 people. I only know 70 people. And first off, you're lying to yourself, which is a really, really bad thing to do unless you're doing affirmations about where you're going and you're specifically lying to yourself to grow, right? Lying to yourself can hold you back so much, right? If you get on here and if you're thinking right now, oh, I already know how to find prospects, you're not even paying attention to the training, right? So lying to yourself, it can really hurt you. But this is one where I've seen a lot of people mess up. So I want to share a story with you. My first sales gig, okay, my first sales job was with Vector Marketing. They sell Cutco cutlery, okay? You've probably seen them, or you've had probably some high school kids call you and ask if they can come over and do a presentation, right? If they do, by the way, I would recommend that you say yes, because that's probably going to be a really good prospect for Legal Shield, okay? Those are people that are trying to learn how to make money for themselves, right? But this is just, so I don't want to guilt you. I don't want to make you feel bad. But if you're the person, and I was this person, okay, I had 27 friends on Facebook when I got started in network marketing. 27 friends. In fact, I didn't even have a Facebook before I met my girlfriend and she made me make a Facebook so that she could prove to her family that I was real, okay? So I was not socially connected. I was the person that put down a list of 35 people. It was my 4 or 5 friends and then the 25 family members that would talk to me. And I said, oh, this is all the people that I know. And, that's all right. But here's the story I want to share with you. With Vector, whenever we'd have new reps come in, we would say, hey, we want you to make a list of everyone you've ever met. And now they weren't worth $1,000 each for these people, okay? In fact, what we offered them is we said, whoever can come up with the most names, right, we're going to give you one vegetable peeler, a vegetable peeler that you can give away on one of your appointments as a bonus. And when I tell you that these 18-year-old kids who had not spent more than a year in the workplace, that had only been to their high school, right, that hadn't gone to college, that hadn't been through multiple careers, put down lists of 300, 400, 500 people in 30 to 35 minutes competing for a $35 vegetable peeler every single time without fail. It was incredible. And yet we get started here and you have an opportunity to earn literally uncapped money, unlimited, right? Unlimited profit on your legal show business, and people come up with a list of 25. So here's what you should do if you want some recommendations on this. The first step is stop telling yourself you only know a few people and start saying, how can I find all of the people that I do know, right? Use a memory jogger. Go through, you can actually Google memory joggers, and there's like a bunch of lists of these of different professions, of different things to think of, and just write down every single person you've thought you can think of. Write down your ex-girlfriend or your ex-boyfriend, because when you do, you'll think of the people that live in their neighborhood, right? You'll think of the people that you were friends with when you were dating them. You'll think of their family and friends, right? Write down people that you even hate, because they're people that you know, and some of their friends might be people you want to prospect, right? People in their neighborhood might be people you want to prospect. Okay, so make a list of everyone you've ever met, leave no one off. And then here's a key step, okay? You have to constantly expand this list. This is not a one and done. We say 2 a day on exposures. Well, think about this. If you do 2 exposures a day, every single day, your business is absolutely going to grow. In fact, we've seen by the numbers, 2 exposures a day almost inevitably in prospects leads to a 50K ring. Right? 2 exposures a day almost inevitably leads to a 50K ring. But what happens if you do 2 exposures every single day and you're not adding to your list? Well, eventually your list will be dry and you will no longer be able to do 2 exposures a day. That is, if you don't recognize that, that is a critical barrier for your success. If you're not adding people to your list every single day, your list will eventually run dry and you will run out of people to contact. So professionals add to their list every single day. Who do you know that I should know, right? John Maxwell, right? Famous leadership trainer, right? Author many, many books on leadership, some of the best in the business, some of the best in the world. Who do you know that I should know? This is a question you could be asking people. Right. And of course, A.L. Williams, right, the founder of Primerica, right, an incredible network marketing company as well. Right. Let's go see them right now. Talking about urgency. Right. You need to have urgency when it comes to getting referrals. And I think that, in fact, Don just addressed it in the membership, you know what I mean, and getting a member started right there. He said, have the pen and paper in front of you. You know, we taught in Vector, another example from that, we taught 18-year-olds to get on average 25 referrals per appointment. I actually averaged 28 myself. And I wasn't even that good at it. And you know what we did? We had literally a pad in hand and a pen, just like he said. And we would say, hey, could you just write down, 40 to 50 names of people who would just be nice enough to take a look? And you hand it to them as you're saying that, and they start writing. Literally, I did it 100 times. Are you doing that, right, with everyone that you know? The people that say no, that are good, that you're good friends, like there's 2 types of no's you get. You get your friends that are like, oh, this is one of those scams. And then you get your friend that goes, hey, this isn't for me because I already know my path, but I support you, and anything I can do to help you, let me know. You say, hey, one thing you could do is just give me a list of 30 to 40 names of people that you know that would just be nice enough to take a look just like you did and tell me no nicely just like you did just now. Bet you'll get some names, okay? Now, step 3, raise your awareness. Be aware of your surroundings. This really comes into the 3-foot rule, okay? And nowadays, this is really difficult, right? If you're not out and about, the 3-foot rule may not be your main source, but you just have to always be paying attention. I actually sold a plan in a gas station one time while I was traveling to and from an event. And I was standing in line, I'm texting, and the guy in front of me sort of does the whole hey, how's your day going, to the guy at the cash register? And the guy at the cash register goes, I got a speeding ticket on the way into work. Okay. Now I heard that and I said, hold on. Did you say you got a speeding ticket today? And he said, yes. And I said, listen, I wouldn't normally do this, but I've got to share something with you because it might be able to help you take care of that today and save you a ton of money. That's actually what I do for a living. He said, are you serious? I said, yeah, absolutely. Right. And he went straight into prospect, right? It wasn't even like, I didn't even have to build a relationship. I didn't have to connect with him because I was aware enough to see someone was in need of our service. Sometimes it's not always like that. Sometimes you see someone saying like, man, I wish I could make more money. And it's like, well, what's going on? Why are you trying to make more money? Well, I want to spend more time with my kids, like learning what's going on with them, building a relationship, making friends. Some of the top network marketers in history talk about how their biggest skill set is that you will not outfriend them. And that is a really incredible note, right? If you become the person that is genuinely interested in other people, right? That is genuinely trying to make friends everywhere you go, because not everyone's going to be interested in Legal Shield. In fact, a lot of people are going to say no. I remember John Gardner telling me, like, look, if I went around to all my friends and said, hey, do you want to be an attorney as well? Like, I'm an attorney. Do you want to be an attorney? A lot of people, probably like 99% of people would say, no, I don't, because they have something else they want to do. We obviously want people to do other things besides Legal Shield out there. Not everyone's going to do it. That's how the world works, right? We want people to build buildings, right? We need people to practice law, right? If every one of our partner attorneys decided they want to rep the product instead of actually going out and servicing it, then we wouldn't have a product to sell, right? So collect friends first, and then you never know when someone's timing will become right. And whenever a year ago they weren't interested in something else, maybe now they will. And because you were their good friend, they're going to approach you when they're looking for an opportunity. Now, never prejudge. This is one that I personally feel very strongly about, and here's the reason. I could have been the person that you prejudged. Now, earlier, I think I heard a mistake. You said that Josh Lockhart was the best looking person in Legal Shield, and then you mentioned me, and I was pretty sure you got those reversed. It was the best looking person and Josh Lockhart, right? But like in my past, okay, even though I'm very happy with the way that I look now, in my past, I was 130 pounds heavier. I had 10-inch long hair. I dressed like a slob. I wore flip-flops and cargo shorts around App State's campus. If you're familiar with App State, it's very cold there. So people thought I was weird. By the way, I am kind of weird. And so anybody could have prejudged me and said, that guy's not going to do anything. He just likes to sit in his room and play video games. He's an introvert. He wouldn't do well at this. Here's the thing for me. I just didn't have anything I was passionate enough about to want to get really good at. And because someone didn't prejudge me and they shared an opportunity with me, I was able to get introduced to network marketing and transform my life. And I've become incredibly passionate about it. In fact, now I've been able to help thousands of people also create success for themselves. And it was only because someone didn't prejudge me. Now, I'll give you another example of someone you could prejudge. You could prejudge someone for being too successful. Imagine if you were looking to approach John Gardner about Legal Shield. John Gardner and his wife, Elizabeth, owned 6 law firms when they got prospected about Legal Shield. They were making hundreds of thousands of dollars. They were on every billboard in South Carolina, the back of every Yellow Pages. I mean, he had his own TV show. The guy was basically famous in his state. And yet somebody had the audacity to send him a VHS about an opportunity. Now, what they'll tell you is no one that personally knew them would have prospected them because they thought they had it all. But if you knew the story behind the story, every single day, John was having to show up in court somewhere, and he wasn't in charge of his life. The judge was. He didn't get to raise his kids. Someone else was. And he wanted his time back. And the second he saw the video, I mean, I'll never forget this. He goes to Elizabeth and he says, I don't want to do this anymore. And she's like, you don't want to do what anymore? And he goes, practice law. And they're in the process of opening the 6th law firm, right? They're opening it. And she goes, that's not how this works, right? You can't just change like that. And he said, no, you need to watch this video. And now, right, they have led to millions, if not tens of millions of dollars in commissions to their team because somebody decided not to prejudge them for any reason. And then finally, you don't know who they know, okay? I've actually prospected a guy, and I need to stop sharing his name. I used to share his name for the story, but I won't do it anymore. But I prospected a guy that ended up being a little bit unethical of a person, okay? He unfortunately stole money from one of my friends, and we haven't spoken since, right? But when he joined the company, I prospected online, right? Met him online, prospected him, Justin and I did, and he saw a video, got his questions answered on a 3-way call, got started, and he said, you have got to meet one of my friends, okay? And we talked to his friend as well. And his friend decided, hey, I want to watch the video, get my questions answered, get started. Well, the guy that I had originally prospected literally never calls me again, right? We never hear from him again. He never recruits another person. He never does anything with the business. But his one friend that he led us to, check this out, has led me to over 500 associates around the country. 500 associates came from one guy who ended up being a bad egg and didn't even stick with the business. And so it's not just about, right, who the person is that you're prospecting. There's links and leaders, and sometimes you need the link to find the leader. And what I've always told people is, hey, if you know someone that you think probably wouldn't do well at this, but you know them and you think you're going to do well at this, well, what's the chance that your friend knows another friend just like you? Probably a pretty good chance. So you always want to share the opportunity with everyone and let them decide if it's for them. Let them self-sort. Don't ever prejudge someone ahead of time. And honestly, I would go as far as to say, if you prejudge someone, if you look at someone and say, oh, the opportunity won't be right for them, I mean, that's literally the same thing as sexism or racism or ageism, right? You're literally looking at them, and based off the things you know about them, you're taking away this opportunity, not even giving them a chance, right, to seize it. And in my case, if they had done that with me, if they had prejudged me, it would have cost me so much money, so many incredible relationships, so much development. I mean, my life has been incredibly blessed as a result of Legal Shield. And I'm so glad someone didn't prejudge me. So I know I hit really hard on that point, but I hope you guys get that. You cannot leave anyone off your list. No one. Prospect everyone. Okay. And then step number 5 for unlimited prospects, you need to network on purpose. This is one that I only recently started to get good at, and I love it. It's incredible. Check this out, guys. Imagine you have a hobby. Like for me, I love playing video games. And you go to a group, right, or an event where everybody there participates in your hobby, right? Maybe you like shooting guns. Maybe you like driving race cars, right? Those are some expensive hobbies, right? Maybe you like playing board games, right? Whatever it may be, you go to an event where there's 50 people that have a shared interest in you. Well, let me tell you what that does. It makes it so easy to talk to everybody because every single person has a shared interest. I mean, I actually went to like a gaming event, like a meetup here in Raleigh, North Carolina before COVID started with about 50 or 60 people there. And I was able to add about 15 people to my list in one night. And not one single person felt like I was there to prospect them. In fact, we had a common ground to talk about every single time. In fact, some of them are now my good friends, even though they've said no to the business. And maybe they'll come around, right? Or maybe they'll refer me to someone, but because I networked on purpose. So talk to lots of people, join new groups, start a new hobby if you don't already have one. But if you do have a hobby or something you're passionate about, help turn your passion into income by going to meet the other people who are passionate about what you are and then sharing this opportunity with them. That's huge, okay? And remember, focus on relationships and friendships. If you can out-friend everyone, you can out-recruit everyone. That's a critical point here. All right, so let's review. Your warm list is always getting bigger. You want to add new people to your pipeline every single day, but you also want to be adding people to your list every single day, because if you don't, eventually your pipeline will run your list dry. That's critical, right? And then prospects are the destination, or not the destination, but the doorway, right? Links and leaders. You don't know who's going to lead you to your next superstar, and so you can't prejudge anybody. And likewise, every single person that you do come in contact with should be leading you to additional prospects, right? You should be getting referrals from them. You should be going, hey, who do you know that I should know, right? Okay, so that is finding prospects. So now let's jump into inviting, okay? Inviting is like one of the most impressive, like this is where you can show off your skills, okay? And if you can get really good at this, by the way, I want to address this. It's not just enough to know what to do and what to say, okay? Because that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about what to do and what to say. You also have to have the philosophies to back it up. So there's got to be the way you think about it. And then this is the part that a lot of people fail to do. You have to actually practice the skill and get good at it, okay? You have to actually practice the skill and get good at it. So inviting prospects, okay? We're going to talk about a couple different ways to invite prospects, but here's one of those philosophies. Focus on serving others and solving their problems. Now, remember, this is a philosophy. I'm not telling you to go around and ask people, how can I help you? Okay? That's not what we're saying to do here. But what I want you to do is whenever you're approaching somebody about this, especially if it's someone you know and you've already been building a relationship with, especially if it's someone on your warm list, You need to ask yourself, what do we have that will solve this person's problem? And for me, the invitation that I've used over and over and over again for years and years and years now, that has been my bread and butter, is right out of the book Go Pro by Eric Worre. If you haven't listened to it, it's a great listen. It's on audio. It's 2.5 hours. You can get it for free with an Audible credit. I highly recommend it. Okay, but it's 8 steps. And he basically, it's this. He compliments the prospect. First, be in a hurry. 2, compliment the prospect. 3, right, the reason for your call. Now, for me, the reason for my call is always what problem I can solve for them. For instance, if one of my friends was telling me, hey, man, I really hate my job. I want to quit. Well, then when I call them, I'm going to say, hey, man, I've only got a second. And I know you're extremely sharp, but you've been telling me that you really don't like your job and you want to do something else. Is that still true? And they go, yeah. And I say, okay, right? I think I found a way for you to replace the income from your job and be able to let it go. Ready? If I sent you some information, would you check it out? So literally what I've done, I haven't said legal shield, I haven't said business opportunity, I haven't pitched them on anything. All I've done is identified a need that they have that I could solve. And I said, I think I found a solution for you. Would you like to see it? Right? Imagine if you have friends that are telling you, I want to travel more. I want to make more money. I want to spend more time with my kids. I hate my boss. I hate my job, right? I want to get wealthy. I have plenty of my friends that say, I want to be wealthy. And if you want to be wealthy, do not be ashamed of that. There's already enough people in the world that are trying to get wealthy. If you're a good person, it is your moral obligation to generate wealth. It is your moral obligation to become as wealthy as you can, because the more wealth you have, the more you can push that good influence out there into the world and affect others in a positive way. So if you have friends that are telling you, I want to be wealthy, you call them and say, hey, I remember you've been telling me you want to be wealthy, right? I think I found a way that we can become wealthy together. If I send you some information, would you check it out? You think someone's going to respond to that? So you're focusing on their need first, right? This is, by the way, if you want to look for the source material, if you're trying to find the personal development material to dig deep on this is straight out of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Literally chapter 1. Focus on what other people want, not what you want, right? In a job interview, you don't sit down and say, hey, I want this job because I need to make money to pay my bills. You say, hey, what I'm going to be able to do is help grow your company. This is the value I can provide to you. This is my skill set. This is what I can do for the company. You see what I'm saying? It's a total shift in mindset. So focus on serving others. Now, here we have the mystery approach, okay? And this, I'm not supposed to edit these slides, but I'm like really tempted to edit this to be called the Dave Savula approach, because this is really like our longest time, #1 earner, Dave Savula, unfortunately passed away a few years back, but he was famous for this invitation. Right? I have something I want to show you. It'll only take a few minutes. You may or may not be interested. Or, hey, you may or may not be interested. I have something I want to show you. It'll only take a few minutes. Or, hey, this is only going to take a few minutes, right? You may or may not be interested, but I have something I want to show you. You can put it in any order you want, but the key to this invitation is that it creates curiosity. That's why it's called the mystery approach on here, right? It creates curiosity. And anyone who is curious about this will take a look. Write this note down. If they think they know what it is, they will never watch the presentation. This has made me so much money, this one concept. If they think they know what it is, they will never watch the presentation. Here's why. Because if they already know what it is, then in their mind, it is going to be a waste of time to rewatch that. And so whenever you think you're helping yourself out by giving them a little piece, by saying, oh yeah, we have an app that gives you 24/7 access to an attorney, and you think that just sounds so cool, and you say that to them, in their head, they're thinking, number 1, I don't use attorneys. Number 2, I don't want to pay for another app. And so number 3, I'm not going to waste 20 minutes to watch your presentation. And no matter what you say after that to try and convince them, they will never listen. So curiosity is the key here, okay? And then there's this key phrase, if I, would you, right? If I, would you. And you already heard me say this. Like this is a couple of examples up here on screen, but I would highly, highly, highly recommend. There's always good, better, best. These are good, okay? These are good. But here's the better and the best version. The better version is focusing on what they want. Just like I said, like, hey, you know exactly what they're looking for. Like they're looking for another opportunity. And so you say, hey, I think I may have found an opportunity for you. If I sent you some information, would you review it? Or, hey, if I could get you on a private webinar, right, to learn from some people who have already made multiple 6 figures doing this, would you watch it with me? Right? If I could show you a way, right, to get out of that job that you hate, would you join a call? Would you hop on a call with me and one of my top executives, right? You see what I'm saying? If I would you. And the key to this phrase is it's reciprocal. You're basically saying, hey, I'm going to do this for you. Would you do something for me? And it's human nature to want to say yes. It's human nature to want to say yes. In fact, another lesson from How to Win Friends and Influence People, if you haven't read it, you should read it, is that if you want someone to really like you, you ask them to do you a favor, because once someone's done you a favor, they're invested in you, right? You would think if you want someone to really like you, what you would do is go and offer to do them a favor, right? But what you're actually doing, if you ask them, like, now check this out, okay? This is another invitation. And don't let me get off track on the time here. Okay, I'm good. This is critical. Let's say you're prospecting someone who is a mentor of yours, or someone you look up to, or someone like a Frank Coin or a John Gardner that's already extremely successful. They may not have something in their life they're looking for that this can solve. But here's another really great invitation. Remember, it's be in a hurry, compliment them, right? And then the reason for your call, and then if I would you. So you might say, hey, I've only got a few minutes, right? But I know that you're one of my biggest mentors in life. And I'm actually launching, this is my reason for my call here. I'm actually launching my own business right now, and I'm super excited about it. But I know that one of the most important things I can do is have someone whose opinion I really respect review this for me and let me know if there's any holes that I might be missing. And so I was just wondering, if I sent you some information about what I'm doing, would you look over it and just give me your honest opinion on it? Because I really value your opinion. If you have a mentor in your life, or if you have someone you look up to in your life and you ask them that, guaranteed they will say yes. Of course they will. In fact, people want to give you their 2 cents for free, right? When you ask for someone's opinion, they definitely want to give it to you, okay? So, and so that's the invitation. Now, with the invitation, let me just harp on this one more time. You would never, okay, perform on stage without practicing first. You would never give a presentation at our national convention without going over it again and again and again and drilling it and making sure you knew exactly what you were going to say. And yet all of the time, I have new associates and old associates alike that tell me that they are too cool, okay, that tell me they are too cool to practice the invitation. Now, let me tell you what. Well, I'm going to use vector marketing as another example here. And the reason I'm using them as an example is not because they're like the best sales company out there. It's because they take fresh out of high school students that have no sales experience whatsoever and teach them how to do presentations and sell $1,000 knife sets. Okay, there's something to be learned from them. Let me tell you their training process. You get in a room for 2 days straight, and we tell you what to say and how to say it. And then you partner up with someone and you do it over and over and over and over and over and over until you can confidently get in front of the whole room and do that presentation. Now, that's what I've done with my invitation. I got with some of my associates when I first got started, and I drilled it, right? I would pretend to call them and I would do an invitation over and over and over again. In fact, first I would say, hey, give me no pushback, just say yes. Right? And so I would do it a few times just to get the rhythm of it. And then I would say, give me any objections you can come up with. Well, I don't have time, right? Because even before you've shared them with them what this is, there's some objections sometimes. And they would make it hard for me. It's like, hey, if I see this video, would you watch it? They go, well, what's it about? Right? And so you practice handling that objection. You say, well, honestly, if I could explain it over the phone, I would just do that. But this is something that you've got to see to understand. So if I sent you the video, would you watch it? Right? And you go straight back to it. And you drill that with your with a practice partner. Then here's the next step of getting really good at this. Because remember, it doesn't matter if you know this if you're not really good at it. Anyone can know this. Anyone could read this. Anyone could read GoPro. Anyone could go through these trainings on Ellis Engage. But if you practice it and get good at it, then you can make money. If you're not good at it, you're never going to make any money. So you've got to practice, okay? The next step is you call your upline. And when they answer, you just invite them. Literally 10 times out of 10, they'll know what you're doing. I have associates to this day call me and they'll be like, hey, Nick, how's it going, man? I've only got a quick second. You got a second? I'll be like, yeah. And I already know, right? And they're like, listen, man, you're one of the sharpest people I know. In fact, you're really a mentor of mine. And I'm actually launching my own business. And they'll go straight into the invitation. And that's what you do. You get so good at this that you would be confident calling an Aaron Browning, right? Or calling a Brian Carruthers and literally doing it on the phone, because if they say, man, that was really good, you can bet that you're going to be ready to talk to your prospects. Well, think about this. Your first 20 or 30 are going to really suck. They're going to really be terrible. You're going to do an awful job. You're going to stumble over your words. You're going to say some random stuff. I mean, I remember the first time that the Gardners made me practice, I practiced it. And this is how it came out. It was like, hey, Mr. Gardner, how's it going? Good. Okay, great. Well, listen, I actually am starting with this company where we have a product where we can give you 24/7 access to an attorney. And then I was like, wow, that's not even close to what you told me to say. And he was like, yeah, it's not even close. Right. And I was like, dang, that's just what came out, because if you haven't practiced it, your muscle memory is going to be to go into a pitch. Once you've practiced it, your muscle memory will be to do the perfect imitation. So practice, 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 practice. If you're too cool to practice, you're too cool to make money. I'll give you one more example of that. Grant Cardone's entire sales team. Grant Cardone now, okay, like the sales guru, like the guy, like Brian Tracy used to be the sales guy whenever I was learning sales. Okay, 10x that. Okay, Grant Cardone. His sales guys have alarms that go off in their office at random times throughout the day, and when they do, everyone partners up and they practice every single day. Why? To stay sharp. I had Brian Crothers tell me, even on the days when I'm taking off, I make at least 10 or 15 calls just to stay sharp. Okay? Practice makes permanent. Make sure you're practicing the right way, and make sure that your 20 to 30 really sucky, terrible invitations that you're going to do are not actually to prospects, right? Have them be to another associate so you can get better. All right, now, the fortune is in the follow-up, okay? The fortune is in the follow-up. Brian Crothers says the fortune is in the immediate and persistent follow-up, okay? It takes 6 to 8 contacts to get a close. Okay, and we're gonna go through a couple things on this. I'm gonna jump into the slides here. When you follow up, you are keeping your promises. So we've gone over the first 4 steps of the invitation, right? Be in a hurry, compliment the prospect, the reason for your call, if I would you. Let me tell you the second 4. And they're really easy. Ready? Confirm a time, confirm a time, confirm a time, and then get off the phone. You ready? Confirm a time, confirm a time, confirm a time, and then get off the phone. That is critical. So whenever someone says, yeah, I will watch the video, you say, okay, great. It's about 20 minutes long. When can you watch it? They're going to give you a time. So now they're setting an appointment with you. If you do that correctly, you can then text your upline and say, hey, Aaron, are you available for a 3-way call at 6 o'clock? Right? I got someone watching the video at 5:30. And he can text you back and say, yeah, absolutely. And so now you've got your expert booked and you've got an appointment set with your prospect. So now when you follow up, all you're doing is keeping your promises. Now, this is a huge nugget here. You have to do this. If you tell someone you're going to call them at 6 o'clock, do not call them at 6:01. You call them at 6 o'clock. Do what you said you were going to do when you said you were going to do it, right? Do what you said you were going to do when you said you were going to do it. In fact, that Franco Coin, one of the legends inside of our company, he uses that filter as one of the filters for the people he will associate with, period. He says, if someone does not do what they say they're going to do, when they say they're going to do it, I will not let them into my network. I will not associate with them. Think about that, right? That's some high level thinking, but that's the way real professionals are. And if you are prospecting, God forbid, you are prospecting someone like Frank Coin, and you tell them you're going to call them at 6 o'clock and you call them at 6:05, what does that tell them about how serious you are about your business? Not good. Now, when they don't answer or when they haven't watched the video, right? So you do what you say you're going to do and they didn't do what they said they're going to do. This is so important, okay? This is so important. Or even, let's say, in fact, I just got a question here. What happens if they've only watched 30%, right? What if they only watch part of the video, right? And yes, you always, Richard, just to answer your question, you always schedule a 3-way call ahead of time, and the experts understand if the prospect bails. Okay, we do. Like if you schedule a 3-way call with me and then you text me at the time of the 3-way call and you say, hey, they didn't pick up, no problem. I'm going to go make some more follow-up calls, right? That's how it goes, right? We totally understand that. The experts totally understand that. You can't worry about that. They're going to do whatever they do. In fact, about half of all of your prospects are just going to blow you off. Listen to this, guys. We had Jeff Bell come to Charlotte for an event a few months back. And one of my buddies in Charlotte, I called him up and I said, hey man, I know you're not interested in Legal Shield whatsoever. I know you've already seen a presentation and you're not interested in doing it. But I actually have my CEO coming to Charlotte as a speaker, and I have to fill seats, right? And make sure that this event is big for him. Would you come and just sit and then hang out and chat with me and I'll buy you a drink? And he said, dude, of course, I got your back. He literally bailed on me. That prospect bailed on me. I'm like, I'm going to buy you a drink. You're doing me a favor, right? He knew how serious it was. It was like no text, no call, no show, right? One of my good friends. You know what I found out he did later? He literally went to get Taco Bell because he was hungry instead of coming to the event. Now, that's just the way it is. People are going to not do what they say they're going to do. But that's okay. So here's what you do when that happens. Whenever they answer the phone, right? Whenever you follow up and you get them on the phone, it's like, hey man, did you get a chance to watch the video? They're going to say yes or no, right? Or not all of it or whatever it may be. And if they say no, don't show displeasure in their lack of follow-up. Okay? Never show displeasure in their lack of follow-up. Instead, simply bam fam. Bam fam means book a meeting from a meeting. Okay? And it's very simple. You say, hey, no problem. We all get busy. I'm busy myself. But I really want you to see this. I think it could be a game changer for you. When can you watch it for sure, for sure? And then what you do is you book another appointment. You text your expert and you let them know, hey, unfortunately, they didn't watch the video, but we rescheduled for X time. Can you do then? They may say yes. They may say no. You might have to find another expert, but you simply rebook the appointment. I have had someone do this to me for 3 months straight every week. So literally 12 calls in a row, they bailed on me. And then whenever or they failed to watch the video and then they said they'll watch it. When they finally did watch it, they called me before the time even and said, Nick, I'm an idiot, man. I can't believe it took me this long to watch this video. This is incredible. Like, I needed this membership last week. Thank you so much for sharing this with me. How can I get signed up? Like, didn't even want, like, already ready to sign up. A lot of people think this is critical. A lot of people take it to heart when someone does that and they think, oh, this person is not interested or they don't care. When really what it was, now it's probably not they just bailed on you to go to Taco Bell, but really what it was is probably their kids might have made a mess, right, at that time, or something was going on. Maybe something came up last minute and it just caught their attention. Genuinely, they meant to watch the video, told you they would, and they just haven't yet. But if you call them up and you just say, hey, I can't believe you didn't do what you said you were going to do. We're not friends anymore. I mean, that's you losing the prospect for yourself and maybe losing a friend undeservingly because everybody, you know what I mean, fails to do what they say they're going to do sometimes. So make sure you always do what you say you're going to do, and then don't show displeasure when your prospect doesn't. Instead, just book another appointment. Now, this is really important. People think, oh, I don't want to follow up so much because I don't want to be pushy. Okay? Now, I agree. You should never feel like you're being pushy in this business. If you feel like you're persuading, pushing, convincing, or selling anybody, you're not doing this right. And the truth is, even if you're really good at it, and by the way, I am really good at persuading people. I know this because I convinced many people that I know to join this business when they did not want to do it. And you know what happened to me as a result of that? My retention went down. I pissed off a lot of my friends, and none of them did anything because guess what? When I convinced them to join, I then had to call them and convince them every single day to do it again, right? To actually plug in, to actually try. And so you don't ever want to be feeling like you're pushy. Now, here's how to avoid feeling like that when you're following up. If you never set an appointment with somebody, you're going to always feel pushy because you're going to be calling them at a random time and they're never going to be available, right? They're never going to be available at that time. But if you always set an appointment and you treat it like you're a professional, easy. They won't even feel like you're. In fact, I have had some people, salespeople, that were trying to sell me products that were very, very consistent on their follow-up. And you know how I feel about those people? Very impressed. Because as someone that has a large team in network marketing, I get hundreds of messages and calls a day. I miss messages and calls from like my grandmother, my aunts and uncles, my friends, very easily. Because here's how it happens. A message comes in, I look at it, I start to type a response, and another message comes in, and I go to that one, right? And people respect you for being a professional and following up when you say you're going to. In fact, it makes you look better in their eyes. They're going to view you as someone that's getting things done and making things happen instead of someone that's just sitting around waiting for things to happen. So you're not being pushy. You're being a professional. You need to internalize that. And until they tell you they're not interested, they're still interested. And when they tell you they're not interested, they might still be interested. They might just have an unanswered objection. All right, so using three-way calls. We're closing, and we're getting to the close on this, on these skill training right here. But this is one that if you miss this, it's going to cost you millions. Because three-way calls are not just a great way to do the business. It's actually almost impossible to do it without it. And here's the numbers I've seen. Okay, I can't give you the industry statistics on this, but I can tell you my numbers. And in fact, I was talking to Josh Lockhart about this, the other day, and he's made over 50,000 prospect calls documented, like on paper. Okay. Over 50,000 prospect calls, right? Getting people to an exposure. And I asked him, how many times in your entire history have you ever had someone watch the video and then sign up without a three-way call? And he said, maybe once. Okay. Maybe once. I would say the percentage is about 0.1% of people who actually watch the video all the way through and don't get on a call will sign up. Now, compare that to the fact that for me, okay, if I get someone on a three-way call, I'd say 40 to 50% of the time they're getting the membership, and 30 to 40% of the time they're becoming an associate. Like in fact, I've got that documented. My first list was over 300 people. Out of the 300, you know what I mean? I think I got about 200 to agree to watch a video. About 100 actually did. And of the 100, about 60 got the membership and about 40 became associates. So I mean, right around there. So what's the difference there? Well, on a three-way call, people get their questions answered. Now, here's something crazy. People are not going to call you and ask their questions. You have to call them and find out what their questions are. In fact, Aaron Browning says this in every training, and I love it. Like, whenever you get off the Zoom call, no one's going to call you. Your phone's not going to ring. They could all be lividly excited about this opportunity. They could be like, man, I can't wait to get started. When is Aaron going to call me? But if Aaron doesn't pick up the phone and call them, they're not going to get on there. Well, likewise, if you don't get them on a three-way call, they're going to have unanswered questions. And just think about this logically, guys. Would you ever sign up for something that you had unanswered questions about? Probably not. You would want to get those questions answered first. So you have to use a three-way call, okay? You have to use a three-way call. And then, finally, your objections are questions to be answered. If someone's really not interested, they're just going to not respond to you, or they're going to try and get off the phone as fast as possible. If someone's actually raising objections, that means they genuinely are thinking in their head about themselves doing it, and they're trying to get to the bottom of whether or not they can or not. In fact, I've been to a million sales trainings, right? Like not network marketing, but like straight up sales trainings. And every single sales expert I've ever seen will tell you people who have objections are buyers ready to buy as soon as you can handle the objections. And people without objections, you should just go ahead and move on. Seriously. So when you get objections, that's great, but make sure if you're getting these objections that you are using the three-way call to have a third party answer them. Okay, that is a critical part, because the only reason I can say this is because I did it wrong every single time. Okay, I did it wrong every single time. I was the person that I would present to my prospect. I would answer their questions, and then you know what they would say? They would say, man, Nick, we've actually had more than a dozen people say this. Nick, I am convinced that you are going to be a millionaire. It is clear that you have found an incredible opportunity, and I'm excited for you. But there is no way I could possibly do what you do. I've heard that a dozen times. And that was because I was hesitant to use third party, because I was thinking I'm a skilled salesperson. Some of you guys on here might be skilled salespeople and you're not doing well in the business. And the reason is because you're leaning on your sales skills instead of leaning on the system. Once I started using third party to get those questions answered, even sometimes by people who answered them maybe not as well as I would have answered them, people were signing up left and right. You know why? Because they could see themselves using a third party. They couldn't see themselves presenting, but they could see themselves connecting someone to a presenter. That's a critical point, okay? I'm so glad you said that this business was designed. I'm so glad you said that. This business is designed for people that blank. I love this, okay? Whenever people tell you, man, I'm so busy, okay? This is a famous sales technique, by the way, famous, right? It's in fact, I think it's called the reverse close. I think Brian Tracy calls it the reverse close, where someone throws out an objection and you flip that objection around. They say, man, I'm too busy to do this. You say, man, I'm so glad you said that, because this business was designed for people that are too busy, right? In fact, you can fit it into the cracks of your life. In fact, I got started while I was a full-time college student and had a full-time job, and I was able to earn 6 figures in my first 5 months with no experience before this. What? Right? Oh, I don't have any money. Well, man, I'm so glad you said that. So this business is designed for people that don't have any money, that want to make money. If you had millions of dollars, I'd probably tell you to go invest in real estate. Since you don't and you want to make millions, you need an opportunity where you only need 99 to get started. I'm so glad you said that. And see, what that does is that's going to flip the entire situation around. So that's a way to handle some of those objections when they come up. And then getting to know them better. I love that this is included in the follow-up slides here, because the more you actually get to know someone and build a real relationship with them, like if you genuinely view them as a business partner, as someone you're going to build an empire with, you genuinely want to get to know them, get to know their birthday, their kids' names, their favorite things, right? The things that make them tick, what their why is, why they're doing this. And the more you get to know them and the closer you get to them, the more you'll be able to help them as a leader to win in this business. Because I have shared a lot of my personal life goals and experiences with the gardeners, they have been able to call me at my toughest moments and help me get back up. and helped me keep going. They've helped me to overcome obstacles that they would never have been able to if they weren't able to call me and say, hey, we know why you're doing this and you can't give up on them, right? That's critical. So using the follow-up process to get better. And the last thing I'll say about follow-up, okay, it said 6 to 8 exposures on average to get someone started. This is what I would encourage you to do. And I think that Aaron Browning is going to talk about this a little bit in his training, or at least I've heard him talk about this recently quite a bit. You want to get those 6 to 8 exposures done as fast as possible. Time compression, okay? Time compression, not innovation, is the way to get massive success here. Do not try and innovate on this system. This system is incredibly, incredibly powerful. When people started asking me, hey, how did you break this record? How did you make $100,000 in 5 months? What are you doing differently? I said, no, you don't understand. I'm not doing anything differently than what they teach. What I'm doing is I'm doing it much faster, and I'm doing it many more times than you are. Because a lot of people sit down and they go, okay, I got 10 minutes. Let me call somebody. And what I would do is I would sit down and say, okay, I got 10 minutes. Let me see if I can get 11 calls in, right? I would say I'd be walking from one class to another on campus, and I'd have 5 minutes. I'd say, okay, I'm going to see if I can call 5 people and invite them to a presentation tonight before I get to class, right? It wasn't about doing it differently. It was about doing more and more reps, right? Just like in the gym, right? The more reps you do, the more you're going to grow. It's not about like, once you have the form down, then it's just about how many reps you do. So once you have this form down, all it takes is more and more reps. Repeat the process. Say less to more people, right? And then just going back and closing to the very first thing I started with. And that is, you have to take 100% personal responsibility for your life, for your business. You're the X factor. We all have the same incredible CEO. We all have the same incredible product. We all have the same incredible compensation plan, leadership, tools, systems, and skills to work on. But what's going to determine how far you go in this business is how much you personally decide to become a professional at these, how much you personally decide to practice and actually develop yourself into the version of you that can be the next ring earner, the next platinum, the next executive director, right? The next legend inside of our company. And here's the best part. Every single one of you can do it if you're willing to set your mind to it. If you decide to make it happen, you can have or do anything you want in life. That's my time. Thank you so much for having me, Daniel. I will pass it back to you.